Hello and welcome to Inches and Cubes, your Toronto-based Warhammer 40k, 30k, AOS, and D&D podcast.
I did not agree to AOS.
As always, it's me, Point and Click Nick.
It's me, Paul Mr. Fist Fowler.
And it's me, Adam the Truest Axe.
That was uncanny, but no, Adam's not here tonight.
Welcome back from that wonderful musical break. Welcome to episode 25 of
25?
Season 2.
That's right.
That means we've done 55 episodes.
Yeah, oh man, we've done like 100 hours of Warhammer content.
It's okay, I was looking at my Skyrim total time played the other day and it was bad.
Oh,
It was really bad.
I just started a Fallout New Vegas playthrough.
Yeah, goodbye, Paul.
Uh-huh. You know what's really fun in that game, though, is to take the Black Widow perk, because it makes life so much easier.
Or take Confirmed Bachelor as a male, and then you can just interact with all of the other confirmed bachelors out there in the wasteland.
There's... I forget the name of the term. Anyways, this is not the Fallout podcast.
Although that's a great idea for a podcast.
Uh-huh. Oh, my God, that would be a great idea. File that away.
Yeah, it's filed. So we're here today to talk to you about the newest Codex in 8th edition, the Space Wolves.
Yeah.
They're a cool bunch of, I don't know, are they Vikings, werewolves, or ice wizards?
That's the thing. They could never decide in 40k.
No.
In 30k, they're quite clearly Space Vikings.
And they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're really cool.
They're like in the narrative of 30k, I do get like annoyed with Space Wolves because it's like all of their trappings and their like Viking savagery is an affectation, like meant to make people kind of
Scared of them,
and also underestimate their like tactical acumen.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
First, we'll dive right in. Oh my God, Nick, would you go fetch us a beer?
Yeah, I got it.
Also, as producer, I'm gonna apologize for the audio quality. We're doing this off an iPhone again. Adam couldn't make it and owns the recorder. There you go. There's a little peek behind the curtain. And out of grief, we're going to open up a beer called Citra Grove by Bench. And this is a dry hopped sour because, as last episode, I keep getting shit for bringing IPAs. So this time I brought a sour that you guys might like. It's bright and hazy, tart, lightly funky, which is stuff I like. And it's got like lactobacillus, so it'll be nice and creamy. And it goes well with spicy foods. I really hope that you could hear the door open on the recording.
Like really slowly.
Yeah, because like someone's sneaking up behind us.
Probably trying to murder us.
I hope I go quick.
Julie, did you bring us snacks?
No.
Oh. Did you bring me snacks?
I just spent so much money for school supplies, so no.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, so we'll get into this beer in a second.
I need something cold because it's like 40 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's we're in the middle of another gross temperature bomb.
Ooh, that's refreshing. That hits the spot.
Yeah, actually, that's a winner. It's not quite sour. It's not. See, this is what I always like when I want a sour. Like slightly sour, doesn't have the same flavor profile as IPAs, as stouts, but quite clearly a delicious beer.
Yep.
But that's also not why we're here today. Nick, what games you got played?
I played a couple games, so I apparently, and I completely forgot about this until Colin messaged me a couple weeks ago, I'm part of the 30k Escalation League.
Oh, yeah.
So I completely missed the first round. No one called me out for a game, and I got lost in the static that is Facebook notifications. So I played Colin Graham, who actually was playing Space Wolves in 30k.
Oh, okay.
And we were playing 1,000 points, and he wanted to play Zomortalis, I asked him what kind of lists that he usually runs, and he said that he has a Leviathan Dreadnought and about 4 different Contemptor Dreadnoughts.
Oh, okay.
So I was scared.
Dude, like, one, where is that many dreadnoughts going to go in Zone Mortalis?
Yeah.
And two, if you have that many dreadnoughts, you're going to be like, I can outrun you.
Yes.
So like I can outmaneuver you.
So that's pretty much exactly what happened. So I played the Emperor's Children. 1,000 points is a little bit less than we normally play for Zone Mortalis, so I had to bare bones some squads, but it worked out really well. So I ran 2 squads of 5 Cacophony, Palatine Blades, Terminator squad, all with Combi Meltas, and I decided to take Eidolon because he hasn't taken to the field in a while, and I just wanted to bring him back because he rocks face in Zone Mortalis.
He really does.
And Colin decided not to bring a Leviathan because he was like, that's dumb in Zone Mortalis, and I was like, yeah, you're probably right. For 2 reasons. One, you can't fit through doors.
Yeah.
Or around corners. And second, there's really not a lot I can do about that.
AV-13, you can deal with it.
Yeah.
Eidolon.
Still got to roll those 6s.
Go for it.
But, so he ran 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts. One was pure close combat. One had a Twin Link Las Cannon and a Claw.
Weird.
I thought so. Then he ran Grey Hunters, or Grey Slayers, which are definitely the best troop choice in the game that aren't Cacophony.
Okay.
Just wanted to make Paul angry there. And a bunch of Deathsworn. Now, Deathsworn are the guys that are basically Proto-Wolfen.
Mm-hmm.
So they, they're all armed with power axes, so they all attack at initiative 1.
Okay.
And unless you wipe the squad out, if you kill a guy before he gets to strike, he still gets to strike at initiative 1.
Okay.
So you have to wipe all 10 of them in a round of combat, otherwise they come back. And they're fearless, they have a 5-up, feel no pain.
Well, they don't come back, it's just that...
So they get to attack before.
Yeah, you gotta weather it.
Yeah, you gotta weather it. And then he ran a Speaker of the Dead Wolf Priest who grants you fearless and preferred enemy. So against me, that's tough because he basically had 2 squads, the Grey Slayers with the Speaker of the Dead, which were fearless, and the Deathsworn, which were fearless, which means the Cacophony's weapons don't get the Biopsychic Shock.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
It's not huge.
It's huge.
No, I'm calling you out right now. Because
Okay.
you can't say to me when I'm complaining about it, oh, it doesn't go off that often, and then say when it can't go off, say that it's huge. You gotta pick one.
Fair enough. It's terrifying.
It sucks.
Yes.
But...
And we did it, because the first time I fired the Cacophony at his Deathsworn, I killed 4 of them in just shooting, and then he failed the leadership test, and then he lost another 4, so we had 2 left. And then he was like, oh, wait, no, they're fearless, so we put them back on. But, like, that was 8 guys out of a 10-man squad.
Yeah.
Gone right there. But this was his first Zone Mortalis game, and I gotta remember, it's a different beast to what most people are used to playing. Because I was playing the game, and I realized this, we played 2 full games, and both times I didn't roll a single dice in the shooting phase, besides to run, or make a charge move until turn 3.
Yeah.
I just set up position, and then I just went, and basically flanked him from both sides with the Cacophony squads, and hammered him down the throat with the Palatine Blades and the Terminators. I baited his Dreadnoughts into charging the Terminators, who then got to overwatch them with Meltaguns and blew them up, because they get to overwatch with full ballistic skill.
Well, they get the chance to, yeah.
Yeah, and they passed the test. And, Eidolon wrecked face. Like, I charged the squad of Deathsworn with Eidolon and the Palatine Blades and just wiped them out.
Yeah, that's not at all surprising.
No.
Like...
It was bad.
Yeah, but... Well, one, I saw your list, and that's a mean list for someone's first...
Well, Connor built it.
Yeah, well, Connor built it. That's not an excuse.
I know.
You don't build guns.
But before that, actually, he charged the Grey Slayers into the Palatine Blades, and this is the first time that I've ever remembered that Palatine Blades have counterattack.
Yeah, it's because they never get it against...
Because I never get charged. So he charged in, and I was just able to... I think we killed a couple of each other's models, but all Palatine Blades have power weapons, so they just wiped up the Grey Slayers, and then finished off the other guys. Second game was a little bit better for him. I was the defender this time, and basically did the same thing. Just fell back, set up perfect charges, and took them on turn 3 and turn 4.
Okay.
So, rekindled my love for Zone Mortalis. I definitely want to do it more.
Yeah, I wish there was an adapted rule set for 40k.
Yeah.
Right now. I guess Kill Team. What I'm saying is I want to play Kill Team.
I feel you could do Zone Mortalis with the 8th edition rules as they stand.
Yeah.
There's a couple things you could definitely change. I mean, you could just modify it so all units get +1 to hit on Overwatch attacks. You get to re-roll the dice when firing flamers.
Yeah, if there's someone loses units to morale within 6 inches of another unit, that unit has to roll.
Yeah. There's weird stuff. There's definitely stuff we can do to make that happen.
Alright, well, let's get a couple of beers and make some unofficial Zone Mortalis rules.
Let's do it. You know how much people love unofficial rules.
You guys play BFG.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
And then I also played my third game? Third or fourth game of Age of Sigmar.
Okay, make it quick.
No. Third or fourth game of Age of Sigmar versus Phil. And loving the game still.
Yeah?
It's a lot of fun. Beat him again to his frustration. And
He's going to take that army back.
no, he's going to run his tournament death list against me, which is kind of terrifying.
Okay.
But again, it was very much based around like setting up movement. So first turn, I sent out a couple screening units to grab objectives because it was a progressive objective mission. So sat on the objectives for the turn, got the objectives, but it also stopped his bloodthirsters from doing like a 30-inch move across the board and charging my big guys.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to charge the little gribblies, and then my big guys were able to counterattack. Actually, they were only able to counterattack after he got after he got the roll off to go again. So I went first, set up, he went, killed the gribblies, didn't kill all of them, but did some damage to them. Second turn, he got all of his other forces in position, and then I went again and was able to counterattack and push him off. The Beast Claw Raiders have a cool formation of wolves, or cats, but we have the wolf models because I hate the cat models. Have you seen them?
Yeah,
They're terrible.
they suck.
Are able to just like deep strike on the board, and it was objectives, and there was like it was the same mission in 40k. There's an objective in your opponent's deployment zone, objective in your deployment zone, and 2 in the middle. And so second turn, I was able to deep strike them and pounce on his Slaughter Priest and Bloodsecrator.
Sure.
And yeah, I just hold that objective, and the best part of the game for me was he got one of my stone horns down to 1 wound, and we were playing on a realm of battle called the Realm of Death, where a character can siphon the life off of units next to him. So I have this one model that has a healing ability and a relic that enables him to heal. So he gained back 5 wounds, and then siphoned all 5 of them off to the character. The character just came back with full strength.
That's
and
rude.
just destroyed a bloodthirster.
So rude.
Yep. It was fun.
Alright.
It's a great game system.
It's probably like after Christmas I'll try out the Boogans.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to drop like $500 on something that's not a base right now.
But your trading bases.
Well, I also might just buy it. I told you that's what I was afraid of.
I know. Didn't you ask us to stop you from doing this?
No, I just told you.
Oh, okay.
It's
It
that.
sounded like a cry for help.
Yeah, it's one of those millennial sort of things where if I acknowledge my flaws, I don't actually have to work on them.
That's not true.
What? Oh no.
That's not true at all.
My therapist is going to hear about
That's
this.
step 1. Step 1 is acknowledging your flaws.
Oh, can I have a nap instead?
Step 2 is killing anyone that heard you acknowledge them.
True.
Yes. With magic.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it for games played. Also started a new D&D campaign, which is fun.
Well, I mean, you just continued the last one, didn't you?
No, so all of our characters died
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the last D&D campaign.
So you're in the same setting.
So we're in the same world, but now we've kind of adopted like an elite military force that's being sent out to deal with the evil that we failed to defeat in the first one, because we all died.
So it's the same campaign.
We have a different structure of missions.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't call it the same campaign. Like, we're not going to fight the guy who killed us.
Oh, okay.
We're in another corner of the world, and we've got our own things to deal with. evil's rising, and so actually I want to tell you a really funny story that comes from this, and it goes to Nick W's fantastic storytelling. So one of his old campaigns, because he's been running campaigns for a long time, one of the characters ran a bard. But he chose a homebrew bard that chose a special college, which was the Chef College. So he was a bard that specialized in cooking, and his name was Chef Bo R.D.
I hate it.
So did Nick Wilkins. So what Nick Wilkins did was he killed that character by Nick G's character, not Nick W. and not me.
Mm-hmm.
Nick G's character was a necromancer who summoned zombies to help him out. So they had an elemental earth fragment, which is just like a powerful piece of magic. And Chef Bo R.D. had it. And he was in a wagon with a whole bunch of zombie helpers, and the wagon moved out of range of Nick G's necromancy powers, and the zombies rebelled against the control and killed the character.
Oh no.
So this character turned into a zombie with an elemental earth fragment. So our session on Saturday, the final boss was that character in zombie form.
Oh, that's really funny.
So it was really great how he wove that all in.
That's smart.
And he was like, "Did you like the brown pants? I always put brown pants on this guy," because apparently that character always made the "bring me my brown pants" joke.
Yes.
So this zombie was a giant hulking zombie model with painted on brown pants.
All right, well, that's fine. Games played, I have none. I was supposed to play Alexander at Albuquerque, but we had to reschedule to this Thursday, just because I didn't have... I double booked the last couple of weeks. I have now since created a gaming calendar that feeds into my Google Calendar, so I don't double book myself anymore.
Yeah, I gotta do that.
Man, between band practice, other band practice, D&D,
Other D&D?
other D&D, nerd stuff, podcast,
Life.
woman.
Women.
It's just like...
Sarah doesn't listen to this.
Of course not. But like, yeah, it's just, I have no friggin' time anymore. That being said, though, hobby time. I got the base coats on the Devastators, the Bolter Devastators, just
Nice.
because I want to be able to pump out Mortal Wounds. And I think that they're a cheap, cool way to do it for Space Marines. And, you know, I need to look at how the Imperial Fist shenanigans interact with Heavy Bolters. Like adding... Because it's been a while since I looked at my Codex.
I don't think they get anything.
No, they don't.
That's 30k.
Right.
30k is like a...
It's 30k and it's 7th. Man, they were so much better in 7th.
I think you have Bolter Drill,
Yeah.
which on 6s are additional hits.
Right. So could I use that one?
I don't know. I think it might just be bolters.
Yeah.
Or bolt guns.
Bolt weapons. Who knows? We can look into it.
We have that technology.
Yeah. So, anyways, I built those. They're a mix of Mark III and Mark IV parts.
Nice.
Because my Devastators are... And also Mark VII parts, because my Devastators were modeled for Battle of Terra. So they would have since rescued a bunch of like Mark VII armor from Mars. So I just like throw in like little tiny bits in there. So it's a helmet and a couple of greaves and shit like that. And then for Wild West Exodus, got the prime coats on those guys. They're a ton of fun. The cowboys go together really well. The bikes, whatever.
They were weird.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know where this piece goes. I had to look at a picture a couple times.
yeah, and then the dog type like minion things kind of go together like Kinder Egg toys. Yeah. So I was like, this is interesting. But that being said, they were like the dog things super quick to go together, and like they just threw in a couple extra heads. So if you buy like 2 packs, you're good.
Yeah.
And you won't have models that look the same. So I'm kind of looking forward to colder weather where I don't have like stuff to do outside and as many concerts to go to. So yeah, that's my hobby progress. What you got done?
It shall be the winter of hobby.
Yeah.
It has been decreed. So I've gotten a lot of work done on the obliterators that I was talking about last episode. The bodies for the what are they called? The Alaris Custodian bodies arrived way quicker than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to get those assembled last week, put together like a proof of concept, just fiddling around, and just kit bashing. So I took all the sonic blasters that I had left over from Cacophony that I equipped with Blastmasters, like basically melded some arms to look like they're turning into the guns, put some power fists with the sonic blasters on the what's this part of your forearm? That's the one. And then, so they're Alaris Custodians, so they're very ornate, very cool looking, which is very Emperor's Children motif. But they also have, I grabbed a couple possessed bits and old school Noise Marine heads. So a couple of them have, like, their power fists are like growing claws, or their arms are just turning into knives. One of them has like a weird head. And the plan now is to grab a tentacle maker. Mm-hmm. And do speaker wires coming from the face and probably the eyes in a couple, because I really like how that looks. Yeah. Into the chest, and then out, or out of the face, down to the chest, around over the shoulder pads, and then back to the back side of the guns, and also to a doom siren that I have mounted on the top of all of the obliterators.
Googlish.
Yeah.
It's going to look really cool, though.
Yeah.
The eyes, I think, would be really fun. I think just to get it done, take a pin vice drill, and like sink the eyes a little bit.
Oh, I'm going to do that with every single. The speaker wire is going to be going into their face.
Okay, yeah,
for sure. It's not going to be just like on top of their mask. The idea is to actually sink it in there, because they don't care.
Because I've seen so many like wires and stuff done like that, where it's just kind of pushed onto the model, but like sinking it in, it finishes it. It's those like little details that like make a conversion look like, oh, that's a cool idea, to like, oh, that's a cool model.
So this is part of a plan to revamp the Emperor's Children in 40K. So the new list is going to be a mix of fun and hard units. So I've got like the big blob of 20-man Noise Marines. It's going to be running up the field with a Demon Prince and a Sorcerer.
Sure.
So they're going 6 and then advancing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're getting warp timed
to do it all again.
So they're doing all again, and then they're getting prescience. So they're basically moving 12 plus 2d6, and now they can fire all of their weapons at full effectiveness. Mm-hmm. Which will be amazing. And then they got a Demon Prince to back them up if anybody wants to be a bully. So I've also, and then then there's the 2 squads of 3 obliterators deep striking with the Chaos Lord. They all have the Marcus Lanesh, so they'll be able to fire twice, get the +1 to wound off.
Yeah.
Threw in a Helldrake in there because I just remember how much I love using a Helldrake in 40k.
Yeah, I don't want to play this list.
No, and then the fun part of the list is just the Vanguard detachment. That's just a Chaos Sorcerer and 3 Dreadnoughts. 2 Contemptors and a Sonic Dread.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's not going to be that good.
It's going to be pretty good.
Well, the Dreadnought is definitely the weaker part of that list.
Yeah, but don't worry.
Oh, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
There's some fun stuff. I forgot how great Hellflamers were.
They're real good.
The 2 damage.
Yeah. They're real good.
Especially when we put 2 of them on a model.
Uh-huh, and they hit automatically. Uh-huh. Are they heavy weapons?
They're heavy weapons.
So,
They're
yeah.
not assault.
Yeah.
But you're still moving 9.
Yeah, but still, remember that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
Out there, podcast listeners.
It's true. That's why I hate the Plague Spurter.
Is it not heavy?
No, it's assault.
Ha.
So you put it on a Blight Drone, and it goes like 10 plus d6, and then it's got 2d6 auto hits.
I'm fine with that.
It's strength 6, AP -2, 1 damage.
Yeah.
And then you're rerolling 1s to wound.
It's fine.
It's gross.
You can kill it pretty easy.
Not really.
Pretty easy.
They're discussing your resilient, and they're like toughness 7 with 8 wounds.
I can kill it pretty easy.
Have you killed one?
Yeah.
When?
Playing Phil.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You killed one?
Yeah.
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, it was great.
I've killed 1. You ever ran 3 against 3? You
No.
suck. It's not fun.
Nah, I just play the objectives there.
And then I picked up a new mini for D&D, and I completely forgot about the Bard mini that I have to finish for our other D&D campaign, which is tomorrow.
Ah, well, you better get cracking.
Is your Warlock done?
Yes.
He's completely done?
Yeah.
Base and everything.
I guess.
What's it now?
Like the dirt is dirt colored.
Nice. Okay. So I got to get to work on that. But the fact that Connor uses bottle caps to represent his paladin,
He
I'm not
uses High Marshal Halbricht with no arms.
That is his paladin,
Sure.
which is great. So I got to get to work on that. And then the model that I got from Reaper Minis, which I don't like the model because his spear has some serious performance issues. It's very droopy.
Hey, man. That happens, okay?
It does happen. But
I'm a couple of years older than you. You'll get used to it.
I think I'm just going to get like a piece of brass rod and cut it out and put it back in, and then I got to paint it. But it was also $2.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned about the crappy cost of the Mini.
Yeah, that's what I have for my other campaigns. Halfling, he was like $1.50.
Yeah, they're so cheap.
Yep.
You can grab some cool ones. What else is going on? Oh, yes, because I want to play in that Horus Heresy event in November. I have to paint 10 Cacophony and a Master of Signal. And yes, I have 10 more Cacophony that are unpainted. Paul is shaking his head at me.
I don't even know what to say to you. Why? Why are you doing that?
Because it's the only troops that I have. I built this entire... Yeah, it is. I can convert the other guys to be plasma support squads.
Well, that's on you then.
Would you rather face plasma support squads or Cacophony?
Yes.
Yeah, they're both equally bad.
Yeah. No, Cacophony make me so mad because they're compulsory troops.
This is true.
Yeah.
I love it.
And, yeah.
Doing great.
Anyways, I'm just going to drop pie plates on them. That's my plan.
Did you build your list?
No,
Build your list.
I will.
Come to the event.
I'm already signed up for it.
Did you pay?
Yes.
Awesome. I hope I can play.
Yeah.
I'm on the waiting list. But it's 4K. There's 2 games, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But
4K, it's also like 3.5 hours allotted, and I'm pretty sure I can get a 4K game done in 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Once you start adding Lords of War, like I played Mike about a month ago in 30K, and we took Lords of War, and the game lasted like 2 hours at 3K.
Yeah, because stuff's gonna die.
Really quick.
And just drop pie plates on stuff I don't like.
Yeah. And I'm going to drop pie plates on the thing that you drop pie plates with.
You don't have pie plates. You have little tiny things.
I've got cupcake plates.
Yeah. This is a pizza pan. This uses the 10-inch blast.
Okay, so you get the pizza pan, I get the pie plate.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
Makes sense. Cool.
Yeah. Alright, well, I think that's it for games played and hobby progress.
Yeah.
We're going to go learn about Viking werewolves and then tell you what we found out. Okay, bye.
Hello, everybody. This is Adam,
And I'm Jay,
and we are in Counter Wargaming.
and we wanted to celebrate hitting our 1,500 subscribers and give back to all of you who helped us get here.
Super exciting. So we call this the 2,500 subscriber Forgebane giveaway.
That's right, because we're giving away a Forgebane box.
Woohoo!
But in order to give it away, we have to hit our 2,500 subscriber goal.
Makes sense. All right, so first things first. Share this.
Share the podcast with your friends.
Share our videos.
Yeah.
Share anything you want. So there you go. Multiple ways to enter.
Right.
Number 1.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Woohoo! That'll get you 1 entry. Number 2. Follow on Twitch for 1 more entry.
Also, you can support us on our Patreon campaign, and that'll get you 5 entries.
Wow. All right. And hey,
Crazy.
guess what? If you subscribe on Twitch, you get 5 more entries.
Damn. And lastly, for all of you who are listening to the podcast right now, go on and leave us a review, and we'll get you 1 more entry.
Bonus. Guys, this is a big thank you for all the support that you have given us over the last couple years.
Absolutely. Thanks to everyone out there for making this a wild ride for us. Hopefully we can give one of these boxes to one of you lucky people.
Sweet. Hey, remember to share, and we will see you at our next encounter. Battle Brothers Studios is a commission painting studio in Toronto, Canada. We want you to walk into the battlefield looking your best. So, if you're having trouble getting all your minis painted, or are in a big rush to get some stuff done for that next event, then let us know. Facebook.com/Battle Brothers Studios for a free quote, and inquire also about our 2018 deals. This year, running a 10% discount on any new release item from any miniature company. That's pretty cool, so send us a message.
G'day, how are you now? Tried to paint a mini the other day. Realized my brushes were drier than a Saskatoon field in May. So I did what any reasonable man in his mid-30s would do, and I hopped over to thewarpainter.com to resupply. Thewarpainter.com is Canada's greatest hobby store for all things hard to find. Scale 75, Broken Toad, The Army Painter, and Valet Ho. All supporters of Encounter Wargaming get 10% off their first order with the code EWG10. They got you covered.
Nick, you want to take us back in?
We're back in, and we're talking about
Space Wolves.
Vikings in space. They ride long ships across the stars.
That's right.
So sweating, a bead of sweat just dripped on the table.
That is nasty. All right, let's get this podcast
Hot.
finished so we can die.
Okay, you know what we need first, though?
A nice, refreshing beverage.
Yeah, so you ever been to Salter Street Brewery?
Nah, man.
So this is down East End. This is like Queen and Broadview.
What even happens out there?
I know. I don't think there's anything actually on the other side of the Don Valley. I think it's just a giant conspiracy.
It's just Quebec.
Just Quebec. That far east. So this is a Riverside Pilsner. This is a cool brewery. It's very small. It's in like an old mechanic shop. Like when you're following the signs towards it, it's like, where am I going? This is a residential area, nice houses, but like very like old East York.
Yeah.
And then it's like walk down this alleyway, and it's like a nice big barn door, and it's very high loft. It's a cool little area.
Nice. Well, this tastes good.
It's a Pilsner. It's better than Steam Whistle.
Well, yeah, it's got a lot more going on than Steam Whistle.
Yeah.
Steam Whistle I like in a bottle the same way I like a Coca-Cola in a bottle.
Yes, very much so.
But I think I've already said that on the podcast. But what we're going to do now is tell you about Space Wolves.
And there's nothing Space Wolves like more than to get drunk.
Yeah, they're one of the few Space Marine chapters that has any sort of personality like that. The dudes party.
Yes,
So,
hard.
There's there's stories in the fluff of them like ingesting toxins that would like blow the face off a normal man, just so they can get all screwed up. Which I admire, and I think more people could take inspiration from that. Do I endorse that? Yes, I do. But what we'll do is kind of get into what role, why Space Wolves? Why are Space Wolves a thing?
Well, Space Wolves are the disciplined terror troops of the Imperium.
Right.
Whereas the World Eaters and the Night Lords were
Shock troops and sort of terror troops. Yeah, like
very much so. Space Wolves kind of had the same effect, but were much more disciplined about it.
yeah. So much so that in the 30K universe, and when sort of the Space Wolves were first conceived, in a way that every legion had a role, the Space Wolves' role was the Emperor's executioner.
I really like that beer.
Yeah, it's not bad. So they were like the Emperor's wrath at himself when he had to deal with his own problems.
Yeah, and I think there was a piece of fluff where... Actually, I'm 100% sure there's a piece of fluff where the Space Wolves actually finished off the last of the Thunder Warriors.
Like before they would have been like Space Wolves proper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's implied that they wiped out at least one of either the 2nd or the 11th legions. And also in the 30K fluff, it's heavily implied that there had been a military action taken out against the World Eaters at some point.
Probably a couple times.
Yeah, to censure them, sort of thing.
And they need to be censored. They're naughty boys.
Yeah, they get out of hand.
Just a wee bit.
Just a touch. And it's kind of understood that this more savage and like tribal aspect of their culture is, while not entirely an affectation, it is sort of allowed to stay with the totems and the furs and the runes, kind of as a misdirection. So their enemies, within and without, sort of underestimate the tactical acumen of the Space Wolves, And that
Yeah, so I always think of this when people mention this, like just because a culture or like a way of life is different, it doesn't mean it's less civilized. Like I remember Game of Thrones is a good example. People saying like the Dothraki are a racist depiction of a culture because they're savage and they're warlike. It's like, yeah, but they still have a really highly developed culture and government and system. Like,
yeah,
right. Like it's the same with the Space Wolves.
they have a different value set.
Yes.
And they sort of use that understanding that other people have of them for their own gain whenever they can. And then into the more contemporary 30K fluff, which is, man, dealing with historical future fiction is like it stresses prepositions based on time. But you had the burning of Prospero. So we covered the miscommunication that led to the burning of Prospero. You can look that up on ID4chan or wherever you like.
Our Thousand Suns episode.
Yeah, or our Thousand Suns episode, yeah. But basically they were sent to attack the world of Prospero.
Yeah.
And while they were initially supposed to bring Magnus to heal, the communication was garbled and intercepted, and just they were lied to, and they were told to just raise the planet.
Which they kind of wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anyways, because Magnus and and Russ didn't get along.
Yeah, they didn't see eye to eye, or eyes to eye. But yeah, so Prospero gets burned, as we all know. It creates the Thousand Suns and an amazing grudge match between Magnus and Lehman Russ, who racks up grudge matches between people like it's his job. Prior to this, he would have also offended the Lion with a joke, and Lionel Johnson would have just like kind of cracked him one in the face, famously breaking one of his fangs, and it came to blows, and eventually I think it's Dorn that steps in the middle, and he's like, "Why are you guys fighting? You're both idiots."
But it brings a great ongoing narrative in the Horus Heresy books, where every time a force of Space Wolves encounters a force of Dark Angels, they're on the same side. They know they're on the same side. There's no like outward animosity where they hate each other, but the two leaders of each group have to fight.
Yeah. Is it to the death?
No.
No?
No. They just punch each other once and they laugh about it.
Oh, okay.
And they go on. I'm pretty sure some take it more seriously than others, but the couple instances I've read, like the Space Wolf guy, like saunters up the Dark Angel guy and is like, I can't do a Norwegian accent.
Don't even try.
But I was listening to the Unremembered Empire book, and they all talk like this. They're all Vikings, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, the Space Wolf guy is like, honor demands us that we fight, and the Dark Angel guy just punches him in the face and goes, that'll do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, in the game, I know in the 3rd edition, you always had to, like, if they took the field together, there was just like this side thing where you had to take two characters and have them fight each other.
I love that.
And it never really amounted to much. So yeah, that's sort of like what the Space Wolves were conceived as.
Yeah.
They're a brutal force that is deliberate in their brutality. Like, make no mistake, they're not gentlemen by any means.
No.
They are meant to tear things down, but in a discriminate and controlled fashion.
Well, I also feel that Space Wolves and Salamanders probably have the best bond with actual humans. Like Space Wolves, like we talked about the war, like the Battle for Armageddon with Grey Knights, where Space Wolves like put themselves between the guns of the Grey Knights and the civilians. Because Space Wolves are consummate, like, good guys with an attitude.
Yeah, they're chaotic good.
Yeah, they always do the right thing, and they always fight for the innocents, which is a really cool thing when you're talking about space Vikings, which aren't normally known for their let's help civilians attitude.
Yeah, well, they protect the Imperium, and they think that the Imperium is the citizens, not the administration.
Very much so.
Which I think is, like, what do you view as a country? The people or the system?
Yeah. So one of the things that a space wolf has to do to become a space wolf is to take the test of Morkai.
What's the test of Morkai?
So the test of Morkai is where they have to like run naked across the snow for a while, beat off wolves,
Defeat wolves.
wolves.
You come here.
Oh, I'm gonna beat your dick off.
And the wolf's like, I don't even know you.
So they basically have to do this crazy thing. It's 1,000 miles in the barren wastes beyond the Fang, which is their fortress. And they have to drink from the cup of the Wolfen, which is where the first and most deadly gene seed of the space wolves, totally unrefined, called the Canis Helix.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not on the nose.
Yeah.
Resides. And basically they either succumb to it or they pass the test and become full-blown space wolves. But the Canis Helix is also where space wolves get their craziness from.
Well, we can talk about that in a moment.
I know.
Now,
I just wanted to go on the Viking motif a
Okay.
little bit more. So this is going to lead into that thought. So what I really like about the 30K, the models and the rules, is it really does draw heavily from Viking lore and mythology. You've got kind of like the buckler shields with the axes. They're very much looking like reavers.
Yeah.
They've got the way that they operate in battle. They've got they're led by like priests, kind of like the Vikings would have been. Not priests, but like spiritual leaders.
Yeah, well, like, depends, because, like, the Vikings, depending on what, like, depiction and how heavily you kind of think that, like, they would have it would have been a common thing for, like, every warrior to go forth with, like, that spiritual understanding. Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have a spiritual leader on the field with you.
No, but someone who's like meant to take care of the dead and deal with that sort of stuff. But the coolest part is the Death Sworn, or like kind of like the Berserkers. And Berserkers comes from a Norse word.
Yeah.
Where they would give people that probably had some mental issues mushrooms and alcohol and a bunch of axes and send them into battle.
Oh.
You ever heard about this?
Yeah, no, I heard
Yeah.
about it, but I had to have a reaction for the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. They're usually naked, and then they'd put like bear skins on them, and then they'd get them high on drugs and alcohol, and like herd them into battle.
When's Burning Man?
I have a costume idea. And I think
Apologies to our burner friends.
and the Death Sworn, which is a unit in the 30K Codex, very much comes close to that.
Yeah. I like that idea. So the idea of succumbing to the Canis Helix, famously there's a quote where there's no wolves on Fenris.
Yes.
It's also heavily implied because so much of the GW fluff has to be implied because you never know when it's going to get retconned. That Fenrisian wolves are mutated aspirants that didn't do well.
Well, it does say that millions have failed the
Yeah.
test of Morkai.
Right.
Millions.
So there's
Not a small few.
no small few, which is a phrase that we discovered in this codex and has been confounding us. But yeah, so it's the Fenrisian wolf might just be these mutated Space Marines.
Yeah.
Or Space Marine hopefuls.
Yeah.
But
Who knows?
who knows?
So there's a lot of parallels between the Blood Angels and the Space Wolves because they're both trying to hide this dark secret from the Inquisition specifically.
Well, I mean, we can talk about the Inquisition real quick. But
Are we done with the heresy?
no, we're not done with the heresy.
Okay, all right, keep going.
So, because of these genetic peculiarities, shall we say, there have been no second foundings other than the Wolf brothers. And
So we're done with the heresy.
they're all wiped out. Yeah. No, but
I was going with the second founding stuff.
Oh, okay.
Just after the heresy.
Ah,
Come on, Paul, get your timeline straight.
My very scientific notes on printer paper.
Not even lined paper, just printer paper.
I know.
They had no second founding chapters, which means that they are not following the Codex, which means Gilliman is probably not too happy with them.
I just feel like that's the one thing that sticks in my craw about the Space Wolves so often, where it's like, yeah, they just do whatever they like, and like people don't like it, but they're allowed to do whatever.
Sounds like the Black Templars.
Yeah, but like at least the Black Templar sort of made efforts to like be desperate and just like, or disparate, sorry, and just like spread their numbers over such a huge area that it's like it's moot whether they're Legion strength or not.
Fair enough.
But like the Space Wolves, they all hang out in the same place.
They all drink.
They all drink.
They have like a meat hall that can fit like 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. It's basically just a stadium.
Oh. It's just Rico Coliseum.
Where's that?
Down at Exhibition Grounds.
Is that what it's still called?
That's what I call it.
Okay.
Listen, I call it the Sky Dome.
The CN Tower?
CN Tower.
ACC?
Sure, I'll call it the ACC, Scotiabank ACC. It's the amphitheater. It's not... Anyways.
Not the Budweiser stage?
No, it's just going to be amphitheater.
Okay.
So yeah, no second founding chapters just because that would lead them to way more scrutiny.
Yeah.
And they also have to send genetic tithes to make sure their gene seed's pure, which we all know it's not. So now we are moving into post-heresy.
Modern day.
Modern day. So after the heresy, Magnus, now mad and a demon, attacks the Fang and is repelled.
It's bad.
It's bad, but it's not a huge...
he like does a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, but like in terms of lasting effect on the fluff, it's just, it happened.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't do a whole lot. And it's important to know that between 30K and 40K, their aesthetic is much different.
It's probably because Russ left.
Yeah, Russ left. He got drunk and just was so disillusioned. And I'm not entirely sure what led to his leaving. But he just sort of like looked into the stars and was like, well, I'll be back at the Wolf Time, which is essentially Ragnarok.
Oh,
Like,
I was going to run in here and yell that. Ragnarok!
yeah, it's largely Ragnarok. So it's the desperate battle of good and evil for the fate of the universe, blah, 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 blah.
No, Ragnarok's just the end of the world.
Isn't it a battle?
No. Well, it's a battle, but good loses. It's just the end of the world.
Yeah.
Everyone dies.
But Asgard is a people, not a place.
What a great movie.
I know, it's so good!
God.
Why are you watching any other movie when you could just watch Ragnarok again?
Over and over and over again.
Hey, do you want to watch Clear and Present Danger? Nope, because Ragnarok's still a thing.
That's still a good movie.
There's no Ragnarok.
No, it's not.
See?
It's got Harrison Ford.
Yeah, but...
Patriot Games. Good movie.
It's not Ragnarok, though.
It's not Ragnarok, though.
Mm-mm.
You're right.
At what point do they do Get Help in Patriot Games?
That's fair.
Although I would pay a lot of money to hear Harrison Ford tell the snake story. And he knows how much I love snakes. They turn back and they stab me. So good! Such a good movie. But yeah, now we're in 30K. 40K. So their look gets goofier. And looks like Nick is blowing open a can of Octopus Wants to Fight.
This is probably one of my favorite beers.
Really?
Hands down. I absolutely love this beer. It is the perfect IPA.
I have to say I quite like it.
It's fruity, it's hoppy, it's balanced. It's 8.8%. No, it's not. It's 6.2%. That's a lie.
Jeez, 8.8.
It's 6.2, so it's not a light beer, but oh man, it packs a punch, and it's just that fruity, summery IPA that Great Lakes Brewery does so well.
Yeah, they know where they're at. But for the fourth time, they have a goofier look. In 30K, their color is a drab gray with sort of red accents, a little bit of gold, and then a 30K rolls around, and they go to this weird Puff Daddy powder blue.
Yeah.
Like the red is largely replaced by yellow, lots of gold, lots of jewels, and like the jewels are in the shape of polygons, so like diamond shapes and stuff, as opposed to the rest of the Imperium that largely uses like oval jewels. So it's just like an aesthetic choice that differentiates them, but it just stands out.
It really does, and especially when you start looking at the weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are Hellfrost weapons? Like, they just came out of nowhere.
Just crystal ice cold. It feels like you're playing an RPG and you get a gem and you're like, do you upgrade it with blood powers or ice powers?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So, but that's neither here nor there. I think the models that we have for 40K, I don't want to say they suck, but I haven't seen many I like.
Well, and it's tough comparing anything to Forge World.
Yeah.
But the Forge World Space Wolves, like, it just captures what Space Wolves are, right? Just they have, like, the fangs, they're brutal, but they're not cartoony.
There's an upgrade kit for Indominus Terminators.
Oh, the Varangir Terminator upgrades?
I don't know if it's No, it's for the Indominus armor. Like, it's the first ones. And they have some of the best sculpts that Forge World has ever done. Like, the faces are so detailed, the hair looks cool.
Nice.
I absolutely love that kit. So when the Varangir came out, they don't look as good as that, which is a real bummer.
Oh yeah, they're the ones that don't have pistol grips. It's literally just a fist with a Stormbolter on top of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was like that was the feeling of AutoCAD.
No, because it's Forge World.
They do AutoCAD now.
They do AutoCAD sculpting now?
Yeah, the ever since I think the what's the two pistol guy?
Mortariat?
Yeah, I think he was done on AutoCAD, and it's been most of their stuff since.
So for some reason, Forge World's really done some weird stuff with the Space Wolves. Do you remember? So when you're looking at a bolter,
yeah,
right? You've got on the top of the bolter. There's usually like something that looks like a flange pointing up on the very end, where an iron sight would be.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they put that on the bottom of the gun, and the community went apeshit.
Well, that's fair. Like, why do that?
Yeah. Well, to me, I always thought that was just like a targeter.
Yeah.
Right? Like a heads-up array targeter. You point the bolter, and your face is going to show where it's going in a little side screen. But then Forge World came out and said, no, they made a mistake.
Yeah, like, but it was also the pistol grip was messed up. The fur on those models looks like bananas.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we don't need to talk about those. Like I said,
It's what we're being paid to do.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you for all your money, everyone. So yeah, they've got a sillier aesthetic. Some of their characters look really cool. Some of them don't. Arjak Rockfist, awesome model.
Yep.
Lucas the Trickster, awesome. The new guy, Crom Blood, awesome dude. Whatever his name, Blood Dragon. Crom
Dragon Gaze.
Dragon Gaze. Yeah, the champion from the school in Hogwarts that comes in the Goblet of Fire. Crom. No.
Is he riding a wolf?
No, he's the guy from the
The one that wants to date Hermione?
Yeah, he does date Hermione. He's a physical being. Come on.
Okay. It's those Slavs, man. They got that Slavic
Charm?
charm.
Yeah.
There's no charm. We're a very brunt people.
Yeah. For those that don't know, that is Nick's background. He's not just popping off. But yeah, then into the fluff. In the Second War of Armageddon. Is it the Second War? No, it's Third War of Armageddon.
No.
Is it?
It's the First War for Armageddon.
First War for Armageddon. I don't know.
The first...
Oh, yeah, the First War for Armageddon is demons.
And World Eaters.
And World Eaters. Yeah, and that's where they end up putting themselves in harm's way to help rescue civilians, which is something that the Inquisition and the Grey Knights that are appearing don't really seem that interested in doing.
Well, quite the opposite. They're actually killing the civilians.
Yeah. So it's the intervention of the Space Wolves that makes sure that instead of the entire population being wiped out, it's sterilized and put into forced labor camps. Which, better?
I don't know.
You'd have to ask those people. Yeah. So that's sort of like the anti-authoritarian bent still happening. Excuse me. It's notable that that's where Logan Grimnar gets his Axe of Mordecai.
Yeah, so he gets that from a Khorne champion in battle.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
So,
also kind of really sketchy from a Space Marine point of view.
Yeah, that's some relictor, like, excommunicated traitor stuff.
Well, I think he doesn't use it. Like, I think there's a demon in it, but he doesn't use it, and it's a constant battle for him to not use it, but he just is able to use it as a piece of technology and not as a piece of magical technology.
Well, he basically gets it from a champion, kills the guy, takes the axe, and it turns sort of this battle, which is like it's described really cool because they're like all up to their waist in water trying to forge this river, and that's where the bulwark is, and they kind of like charge out of it, pushing the enemy back, and then he takes it back to their homeworld and has it reforged.
You want to know something very interesting?
I do.
The Axe of Mordecai,
Mm-hmm.
which is the reforged demon blade that was Acor Doomflayers, was the weapon that defeated Magnus the Red.
Do you know why that is? Because that's some real Forest of Dunsinane, like, magic shenanigans, which I really like, which is why I brought this up.
Okay.
So, Magnus's armor is supposed to protect him from any weapon forged by the Imperium. And,
Nice.
this is in the second Battle of the Fang, which is a really nice segue. Thank you for that. This is where the Thousand Sons kind of get their revenge. They manage to really. I think we mentioned this in the Thousand Sons episode. They give the Wolf Boys a real bloody nose. Do some real damage to the Fang. Do some real damage to their genetic stocks as well.
Yeah.
And is this where the changeling causes so many shenanigans?
It is, yeah. So this is where the that actually happens after.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there's one quick short story I wanna jump into here, just to give a shout out to Nick G, or Space Wolf Nick.
Space Wolf
As
Nick.
he's known. Follow him on Instagram. It's Grav, GRAV.Carto, CARTO. He is a witch and a sorcerer, and he is probably one of the best painters and modelers I have ever had the pleasure of knowing.
His painting has improved since I've known him in a way that makes me think he has struck a Robert Johnson type deal, where he does not have a soul, the devil has a soul, and now he's a better painter.
No, I think the devil came to Toronto and challenged him at a painting duel.
And he beat him with a fiddle.
And he beat him with a fiddle, or just a paintbrush from Dollarama.
Yeah.
But so Nick's Space Wolf Army, that's why we call him Space Wolf Nick, not just because he looks like a Viking. He has a custom chapter that's actually out of the fluff. They're called the Sea Wolves, so they're basically supposed to come from the raiders and the pillagers from Fenris.
Well, it's important to note, and we should have mentioned this off the top, is that instead of breaking into chapters, the Legion broke into great companies.
Well, that's how their companies work.
Right.
Right.
So, but it's largely a
yeah, sure.
They're bigger.
Yeah. So Engir Krakendoom is the Lord of the Sea Wolves. And this is a great space whale story. So Engir Krakendoom's great company are close at hand when a vast anomaly breaches the yawning warp gate of Sloth. 12,000 miles of flesh the entity defies classification until a xenobiologist realizes that it was a void whale that went into the warp and has now come out. So as it's 12,000 miles of flesh.
I don't have a schema for how big that is.
So the Space Wolves board it in drill-tipped torpedoes and have to fight through the inside of a space whale before blowing it up from the inside.
Let's just clarify. Demonic space whale.
Demonic space whale. Yes, very true.
That's kind of stuff that's how the Space Wolf do. So it's around the second Battle of the Fang that the 13th Company shows back up. And the 13th Company went off into the warp with Lehman Russ. And parts of the 13th Company show up, and they're different now. How are they different, Nick?
They are nuts. Remember how we talked about berserkers? Yeah, well, these guys are hyped up on warp magic and not magic mushrooms.
No, and they are also now werewolves.
On magic mushrooms.
Yeah,
which is super terrifying.
Oh, I was going to say awesome. But yeah, so it's these models. You can find them. You can look up themselves. They're
not a fan.
The models suck, but they're werewolves. They've got claws. They're a more bestial aspect. Their feet look like wolf feet, and obviously this is the sort of thing that the Inquisition would look down on. So
they are not happy.
So it's sort of kept secret. It's tried not to be made public knowledge.
But you know what? When demons are pouring into your system, it's kind of hard to do that.
Yep.
And the Dark Angels get involved because they want to know why the wolves have let chaos, because they are chaos corrupted, whether it's for good or for ill. They're definitely tainted by the warp.
Definitely chaos changed.
They're definitely chaos changed. Yep. Whether it was a catalyst or is still part of them, who knows?
I view catalysts, but
yeah, no, for sure, that makes sense. So the Dark Angels launch an invasion fleet against Fenris, but our old friend, the Changeling, is back at it again, and he is actually a Vox officer on the Dark Angels flagship.
So he's sort of been like pushing the Dark Angels towards this, like behind the scenes for a while now. It's kind of heavily implied, because nothing gets said for sure. It's heavily implied that he or it like was subtly influencing decisions to get the Dark Angels there.
Yeah, and so as the fleet is above Fenris, the Changeling announces to the Dark Angels High Command that the Space Wolves have fired on Grey Knight ships in the system, and that the Wolfen have started tearing into Dark Angel positions elsewhere in the system. And because there's no actual leader of the Space Wolves present at this time, Azrael starts bombarding Fenris.
Yeah, and like all of the Great Wolves are indisposed. A lot of them in this conflict have been killed. Magnus has killed 3, I think. There's the one that deals with the long fangs that was basically like held in. He shot a last cannon bolt at Magnus. Magnus froze the bolt and then sort of like picked him up with magic and dropped it onto him. Like, so he just like blows this guy in half. Another, I think it's the Death Wolves Great Lord. Wolf Lord. He's killed at this point. And now it's somebody else. It's Harold Death Wolf or whatever his name is.
Sure.
Yeah. So he's like they're in a mess. Somebody's trapped underground. I think Logan Grimnar's trapped underground.
Yeah, Logan Grimnar and Eagle Ironwolf are both trapped below the ground. And let me make this clear: the Dark Angels are fully bombarding this. They are killing billions of people. Space wolves, demons, innocent civilians. And as just as the bombardment goes on, Brother Captain Stern, who is probably one of my favorite Grey Knights characters.
Yeah.
Is he an actual character?
Yep.
Cool.
He's got a really crappy model too. He's got like a real karate chop hand.
Yeah, I've seen some great conversions of him. They show up on the bridge, and he senses that Mendaxus, the Vox Seneschal, is really the changeling. And Ragnar Blackmane's with him for some reason. And Ragnar Blackmane chases him through the rock, which I imagine is just a Benny Hill style changeling chase through a fortress that is now a spaceship.
I mean, Ragnar Blackmane is one of the coolest characters, and I love the fact that he's got the oldest model in the entire Space Wolves range at this point. But they keep being like, he's the youngest Great Wolf, and he'll probably be he's the youngest company champion, or whatever they call it. What are they? A Great Wolf is like Logan Grimnar.
Yeah.
And then...
Wolf Lords.
Wolf Lord. Yeah, it's like, he's the youngest Wolf Lord, and he'll probably be the youngest Great Wolf. And it's just like, he's the oldest model.
He's the oldest model, but he's also... have you ever read Space Wolf?
Yeah.
And Blackmane?
No, I haven't read Blackmane.
They're good. They're good books. They're like some of the first, I want to say, series of books that Games Workshop put out. And yeah, they're good reads if you want to go back and read them. So in the middle of this, after the Changeling's been banished back to the warp, guess who shows up to the free-for-all?
Who?
It's Tzeentch. And he's got the Silver Towers. They're launching against the surface.
Yeah, so there's the 9 Silver Towers of Tzeentch that appear over Fenris.
Yes. And they land on the surface. They're blowing shit up. It's bad. There's blood. The fortresses of the Thousand Suns, which are the Silver Towers, arrange themselves to form some weird symbol. And then Magnus, aided by Araman, comes forth.
It's a big thing, because they hate each other.
They do. Yeah, Araman has never really forgiven Magnus, but I guess he's there.
Yeah.
So the Thousand Suns launch a ritual that takes 9 hours, 9 minutes, and 9 seconds to complete. Mm-hmm. And each ritual has to have a captured live Space Wolf suffering underneath them.
So grim, so dark.
So grim, so dark, so cool. And basically, the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves join forces, and they realize that they've been pitted against each other, and are able to repel Magnus after Logan Grimnar
wounds him with a weapon made by Khorne, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, too. Khorne and Tzeentch don't get along.
And, this is some Tzeentchian justice planned shit right there.
Yes.
Because, Tzeentch doesn't care as long as his plans are fulfilled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, then they sort of get the Fang back, and they're just sort of cleaning up that mess. Then that is one of the last big engagements of 7th edition.
Yeah, because that basically ruined the chapter. Fenris is basically a wasteland. Billions of their citizens are dead, so they're not really drawing any more new soldiers. And
then the Great Riff happens, and that's no good.
Do the Great Riff.
The gent all up in here. Well, they also send forces to help in the Battle of Acadia, but they don't really do anything.
No, because Acadia dies.
Yeah. And then the Great Riff happens, and they're dealing with that. And Gilliman, as he's wont to do, swings by Fenris on his Ultima Crusade, and he's like, "Yo, check out what I got you! I got you Primaris Marines!" Just because everyone gets Primaris Marines. They're met with some suspicion because of how insular the Space Wolves are about their recruits. They only recruit from Fenris.
Yeah.
So these guys, while they do share the genetic lineage of Leman Russ, they're not Fenrisian citizens. So they have to fight very hard to prove themselves.
And they do prove themselves because a bunch of Inceptors turn to the Curse of the Wolfen while fighting the Dark Eldar and throw aside their weapons and charge headfirst into the witches and beat them with their bare hands.
There you go. That's some stuff that the Space Wolves can get on board with.
And because they want to really be accepted, it's actually kind of cool that the Primaris do this. They go by themselves without being asked to undertake the Test of Morkai and no small few do not return.
So a bunch of them die.
Let me read that again. No small few do not return.
It makes more sense said than it does read.
But
But
it's the gravity I'm saying it, right? Like, well, no small few did return.
yeah.
That way kind of like
Yeah.
makes it seem not so
But
bad.
regardless, then the Primaris are integrated. They're accepted. Logan Grimnar tells all of the other wolves, "Yeah, no, we're doing this."
Yep.
Like, though it is worded as like we're doing this for now.
And they wake Bjorn again.
Yeah,
Bjorn is one of the only characters in the Imperium who was alive during the Horus Era. The only. Can you think of anybody else?
No, he is
Oh,
the only
Gilliman.
one. Yeah, him and Gilliman.
Gilliman, yeah.
So Bjorn is, for those that don't know, he was a member of. I think he's a member of the 13th Company, and he wasn't brought with Lehman Russ. So he was left behind. Eventually, he gets interred in a dreadnought, and he's very sleepy because the dreadnought like sarcophagus sort of makes you less aware of your surroundings and makes you weird.
It's not fun.
No, it seems like a real drag. And you're kind of in suspended animation until you're needed. And the Primaris wake him up.
And yeah, no one knows what they talked about. So
Yeah.
Najal asks to meet with Bjorn,
Mm-hmm.
and then nobody knows what they talk about. But it's very hinted upon that Russ is coming back.
Yeah, it's because we end up kind of understanding that the rune priests are starting to get these weird visions, and it's kind of implied that Gilliman coming back, the Second Battle of the Fang, the Primaris, these were all sort of things that would foretell the wolf time, which is, as we've mentioned, when Lehman Russ comes back. And yeah, that's where we are in the fluff. I'm going to tell Nick that we take a real quick break because Paul needs a glass of water and probably another beer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, we're back. We just had to take a little break just because we started doing more fluff than we thought we were going to. And now we're just going to each talk about a couple of units that we like. And because this is the Codex of Heroes, the Space Wolves do characters kind of better than anybody else, or certainly more frequently than anybody else in the Space Marine oeuvre. And the guy that I'm going to call out, just because if it's a trolley kind of guy, I'm going to be in there, and that's Lucas the Trickster. So he's a single model armed with Claw the Jackal Wolf, which is hilarious, a plasma pistol, frag grenade, and crack grenades, and you can only take one, obviously, because he's a special character. It's a regular plasma pistol.
Can you imagine if they left that out of the Codex?
You can take as many Lucas the Tricksters as you like. That would be amazing for this model. And he's got the Claw of the Jackwolf, which is +1 strength, -2 AP, and does 2 damage. And you can reroll wounds. So it's a very good character killer, Lightning Claw.
He's also an elite choice.
He's an elite choice, which is, that's something that I should have called out. And he's also got a pelt of the Doppelgrangel. I know. It sounds like you're mispronouncing a regular word.
Yeah.
And you have to subtract 1 to hit him, which is hilarious.
Doppelgangrel.
Doppelgrangel.
Doppelgangrel.
All units within 1 inch of him subtract 1 from their leadership, just because he's such a dick. And
that's the Master of Mischief.
Yeah. Master of Mischief. I'll go into that. And the Last Laugh is a great little special rule. And if he's slain in the fight phase, both players roll a dice, re-rolling ties. If you roll lowest, nothing happens. If you roll highest, the unit that landed the blow immediately suffers D6 mortal wounds. And I'll get into why that happens in a moment. Also, he's a Bloodclaw hero. So you can re-roll wounds of 1 for friendly blood clot units within 6 inches. And what Lucas is he is much too old to be a blood claw. So blood claws are sort of where a Space Marine starts out. Instead of going into the scout program, you pop right into a blood claw. You get your power armor, you get a chainsword, you get a pistol, and they're like, go do Space Wolfy stuff. And Lucas the Trickster is just a practical joker. Like, he put, like, lice in a Wolf Lord's Terminator armor, and he was itchy. He like, that's the kind of stuff he does, to the point where he doesn't belong to any great company because he pisses people off so often. And you know, he was like catching hell from one of the Wolf Lords after one of these pranks that went wrong, where he, like, I think this is the one where he spikes the Fenrisian ale of a Wolf Lord, and, like, he's just so frigged up that he's, like, can't see, and Lucas the Trickster finds this hilarious.
Can I read my favorite prank of his?
Yeah, sure.
So he accidentally locked an inquisitorial delegation in a Grok's breeding pen
during rutting season.
While they were in mating season. Oh, man.
Yeah, so this is the kind of stuff he does. He sows discord wherever he can. That being said, he... so one of the Great Wolves was just, like, gonna kill him because he was in such a rage about these pranks. Ragnar Blackmane steps in. He's like, listen, he can come with the Blackmanes. It'll be fine. And, like, since then, he's just sort of moved around great companies. Not because he's so well-liked, but because he wears out his welcome. He's a really funny trolly character, and I love those. It's also implied that, like, he bedded a lot of women before he was a Space Marine, which he's gonna be, at most 13? So... good
Once famous for sharing a dozen beds in a single night.
Yeah, sure. At 13, you can sleep in a lot of beds. So he's kind of funny, but also puts this sort of chicanery to use on the battlefield, and was known for, like, ambushes and, like, sort of double blind and, like, fallback maneuvers, until eventually he ran afoul of a Dark Eldar, I think it's homunculus. Basically, one of these guys cuts out his heart. One of his hearts, and now he just jokes about it. But what he did was replaced it with a stasis grenade. So that is why the last laugh exists. If he dies, this stasis grenade goes off. And he's like, meh.
This is such a toned-down version of 7th edition rules, because in 7th edition, both he and the model that killed him
were just removed from play.
Yeah.
Just bloop.
So D6 mortal wounds. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. But I like this. It's that character is very Norse. And his inspirations, obviously, Loki is the direct parallel there.
Yeah. So, speaking of Norse counterparts in the Space Wolf Codex, I chose Arjak Rockfist.
Oh, really? What's he armed with?
He's armed with Foe Hammer.
Oh.
Which may or may not be how Mjolnir translates in English. I don't know. But he's a blacksmith. He doesn't really talk. It's actually interesting. In the 7th and 6th edition Codex, he was just an upgrade from a sergeant. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't actually purchase him on his own. He was an upgrade to a squad. Now he's a character in his own right.
That would have been 6th. In 7th, he was a character.
He was? Okay, so it would have been 6th. So he has Thor's hammer. He can throw it at people. It's a thunder hammer where there's no minus to hit. Mm-hmm. It does D3 damage unless you're against characters, in which case it does 3 flat damage.
Hilarious.
But he's just a really cool warrior. All he does is hit things with his hammer.
I like that. And I'm like, we're doing the characters a minor disservice by not calling out Najal, the Stormcaster. He's a very powerful psyker. And not calling out Logan Grimnar, who has...
Santa's sleigh. There's a reason we're not talking about him.
Yeah, he's got Santa's big sleigh. but we also only have so much time, and we have to work in the morning. But yeah, this is a codex that's all about the characters. If you want a character to go a certain way, you can kind of do it with this codex.
And you could run an elite army very, very easily with Wolf Guards and Wolf Guard Battle Leaders, Iron Priests, Thunderwolf Cavalry. You're not putting a lot of models into this army, and you can still run a very effective list.
Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, we're leaving it like. Sure, these guys are like the more progressive characters. There's like Ulrich the Slayer, who's a rune priest, which sort of not a rune priest, sorry, a wolf priest, which kind of fills the same role as chaplains. And his fluff is like he never wanted to be a leader, and then like he kept being in situations where he was, and he's got a much more traditional outlook. So like people like Lucas the Trickster would just drive him up the wall. But I like that's especially in a codex that doesn't have much in the way of like customizability.
Yeah.
Like having access to these characters really pushes your army build, because we only have one sort of like chapter tactic for all of the Space Wolves, which is adding one when you charge or are charged to your attack characteristics.
Which is pretty awesome.
It is very awesome, but some of the other codexes we've seen, there could have been a great opportunity to have each of the great companies have a different one. They didn't do that. I think that's a missed opportunity, but at the same time, you would have just been writing
12 new factions, sub-factions. Yeah.
Right.
So, those are characters. They're fantastic. And again, that is what Space Wolves do best. But they also do elite infantry best. And there's no eliter infantry than the Long Fangs. These guys are long-range specialists. They are really, really good. They're a tad bit expensive, so they're devastators. But basically, these are the guys who have survived the Grey Hunters. You know, these are old, they're withered, they're veterans.
Right. It's important to note that the organization's a little bit different for Space Wolves. So instead of going into the scout program, then into a Devastator program, then into Assault Marines, and then a full tactical, the way that the Space Wolves do it is you go to a Blood Claw, so that's your assault sort of thing. Then it's the Grey Hunters, which fulfill your tactical squad role. Then you become a Wolf Scout. Then
you can choose.
You can choose to become a Wolf Scout or a Long Fang.
Yeah.
The idea is, why would we trust these sacred heavy weapons with the newest guys?
Yeah.
So, that's the fluff behind these guys.
And these guys are great because basically at the start of each of your shooting phase, you pick an enemy unit on the battlefield for each Long Fangs unit, and you can reroll hits of 1 for any models that target that enemy unit. So you're basically getting free rerolls. Mm-hmm. And, I forgot to mention this, all Space Wolf squads can take a Wolfguard Terminator pack leader as their sergeant.
Okay.
So you can have a guy in Terminator armor with a Thunderhammer just hanging out with some Long Fangs in case someone decides to charge what you think is a meaty, long-range firepower squad, which is super cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool because you can also do that with the Wolf Scouts. So you can have a Wolfguard pack leader in power armor leading your scouts.
Oh, nice! That's
a
great idea.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. The Wolf Scouts also get access to all your standard scout equipment, sniper rifles, bolt guns. But more than that, they can also take special weapons, and they can take power axes or power swords, and plasma pistols. So you can specialize your Wolf Scouts to be very surgical. So how Space Marine Scouts are kind of like, they're handy, they're forward operating, and they can be a little speed bump. Wolf Scouts do that and do it better and can kind of fulfill a battlefield role or like fulfill an objective that you can have, which is like taking out a character or taking out like a vehicle. I just like these guys so much. I've always liked the models. I don't love the plastic models that came out. I guess this would have been 3rd edition. It's also important to know that in this Codex, Space Marine, the Space Wolves got access to the Intercessors, Interceptors, Reavers.
They got all of them.
Yeah, Hellblasters.
And they got those in the HQ part 2.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So I like that. It's another... Every time a Space Marine Codex comes out, I get a little bit salty about the regular Space Marine Codex where it's like...
Cotton Purifus.
What's that? Yeah. No. Because it's like, everything... You guys get new models, like different models, and all the same ones that we have access to. So it's like, why would you play vanilla Space Marines?
I don't know, why would you?
Gilliman.
Why would you play Imperial Fists, Paul?
Because they're really cool in 30k. Yeah, it's also like cool to know that the Wolfen exist. And we're not going to go into these too much.
There's Wolfen Dreadnoughts now.
Yeah, there's Murder Fang, the stupidest model. Like, it bugs me so much that I love the fluff of the Space Wolf so much, and I hate the range of the 40k stuff. But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
It is a converter's dream, though. Like, Nick G's stuff, again, look him up on Instagram.
Yeah.
He has made Wolfen look amazing. He uses Contemptor Dreadnoughts as regular Dreadnoughts, just to get that extra feeling of size and bulk and stuff across. And he does a really good job.
Yeah. But... Yeah, so I've got nothing to add to that.
Stratagems?
Stratagems. Let's do 2 each.
So one of the cool ones here, and it's very fluffy, is how Blood Claws tend to deal with problems. It's called Overwhelming Impetuosity, which is a hilarious stratagem name. And this actually has a kind of a weird mechanic. So, faced with a powerful enemy, recklessness can become heroism. So if a unit of Blood Claws charges an enemy unit with a higher power level rating than what the unit of Blood Claws is, you can reroll failed hit rolls for that unit against that enemy unit for 1 command point.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I've very rarely seen a power level stipulation in a stratagem before.
Yeah, that's a new one for me, and this is a weird instance, and I'm sure that we'll hear that I'm wrong in saying this, but this is the only instance, the one that I'm about to talk about, where I've seen a unit choice become a stratagem.
Okay.
And this is the Lone Wolf stratagem.
Oh, this is so cool.
For 1 CP.
Yeah.
So the idea of a Lone Wolf was he was the last surviving member of his squad. And he wants to die and go to totally not Valhalla, but probably Valhalla. But now...
Sovngarde.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. But you use the strategy at the end of the phrase that any Space Wolves infantry from either barring characters and servitors or Wolfen. So any infantry other than those any unit has been reduced to a single model. That model's wound characteristics are increased by 2, and it gains the character special keyword, and you can reroll failed to hit and wound rolls for the remainder of the game.
It's also it also gains 2 wounds, which is kind of important.
True.
It's not like the model characteristic increases wounds by 2.
Yeah.
And you still have 1 wound left.
Yeah, that would be silly, but fair.
But you're basically, if you have Terminators, you're basically turning probably you're keeping a Terminator squad sergeant alive, so now he's all of a sudden got 4 wounds and a Thunder Hammer that just won't quit.
And I love this idea.
And for 1 command point, you're like, think about that, right? You're like you think you wipe this squad out. There's one guy left. Right. Okay. So Nick G was talking to me about this, and he was like, "Oh, when does this stratagem happen? Because you have to take battle shock tests."
Yep.
But if you have the character keyword, then you don't have to take battle shock tests.
Right. And you use it at the end of any phase.
Right.
Any phase.
Right. But my point, his question was, if like in the shooting phase, if you lose 5 models out of a 6-model squad, you have one guy left. You pop this command point to be lone wolf. Do you have to take battle shock tests at the end of your opponent's turn?
But that unit's gone now.
Right.
He's now a
it's
character.
now it's a lone wolf in a different unit.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it's the same units, but it's now a character.
Yes.
And yeah, I just love this, and it's like a weird mechanic, because like a lone wolf in 7th edition was just a guy that you could give any equipment to.
But think about a long fang. Now you've got a guy with a las cannon who's a re-rolling hit and to wound rolls, and as a character, so you can't snipe him.
Yeah, now I have the last cannon. Ho ho ho.
Which is great.
Mm-hmm. You got another one you want to talk about?
I do have another one. It's called the Wolf's Eye, and again, this is 1 command point, and it is a steal. Although with this army, unless you're using a command point farm, I don't think you're getting a lot of command points. So Longfangs, again, just veteran soldiers. They can spot the weakness in any enemy line. You can use this stratagem in your shooting phase when Longfangs are chosen to make their shooting attacks, and you can choose to either reroll fail to hit or fail to wound rolls for that unit for this phase.
That's good.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Because Longfangs are already rerolling 1s, so you're probably going to go with reroll wounds unless you're suffering some minus to hit. And you are probably arming your Longfangs with missile launchers or las cannons. So they're going to murder whatever they touch.
Yep.
Super cool.
Hey, Nick, you know how wolves make the best snipers? You know, that's just a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this command point's called Keen Senses. And due to the heightened sense of a space wolf, it allows them to sniff out prey wherever and however it's hidden. And you use this stratagem in the shooting phase. Any space wolves unit from your army,
not infantry,
doesn't suffer penalties to hit in this phase.
Any penalties to hit. Not
None.
just for moving.
None.
So if you are firing a, I don't know, Daredeo Dreadnought from across the board at a Dark Eldar skimmer that popped a -2 to hit stratagem, and you're at -3 to hit. Oh, and you also moved, and you're at -4 to hit. You don't suffer any penalties.
Yeah, no, you're good, baby. Like, just roll on. And it's such a good stratagem for 1 command point.
Yeah.
What is the command point economy? Like,
It's Bitcoin.
It's Bitcoin? Okay.
It's Bitcoin. It's definitely Bitcoin.
Litecoin.
Yeah.
Or Dogecoin. But, this just makes me think of, like, Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never played those games.
You ought to. They're weird.
Okay. Moving on to Warlord traits. These Warlord traits were retconned after the Codex was released, but thankfully we have the ebook edition, so we get them in here. This is a very, very cool mechanic that doesn't exist in any other Codex. Basically, you have a Warlord trait, and then you have a saga. So, for example, the Saga of the Warrior Born. This is a Warlord trait. You could always choose for a unit with this saga to fight first, even if they didn't charge. But the saga, if you complete the special mission that's part of the Warlord trait, all friendly units within 6 inches of your Warlord also gains the effect of this Warlord trait.
Like, that's what sagas do. That's so rad.
Yeah, so for the Saga of the Warrior Born, your Warlord has to slay an enemy character.
So the one that seems so friggin' good to me, just because of how easy the saga is, the Deed of Legend, is the Saga of the Hunter. So unit affected by this saga, in your charge phase, can charge even if it advanced, and all you have to do is successfully charge an enemy with your Warlord.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Is that easier than passing a saving throw?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because then there's like Saga of the Beast Slayer, where it's like add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made against monsters or vehicles, and the Deed of Legend is slay a monster or vehicle. Like, no one's going to ever take that.
That's pretty awesome.
It's not, though. Like, when was the last time your warlord, who's a space marine, killed a vehicle and then moved on to kill another vehicle?
Probably lots if you have a Thunderhammer and 5 attacks.
Suppose by. Yeah, so anyways, the warlord traits, again, it kind of flexes on this idea that these guys are... It's the Codex of stories and heroes.
Yes. And huge shout out to Michael Chapman, another Space Wolf player in our community, who actually has a leather-bound book covered in Nordic runes that he writes down all of his victories and games in by hand.
That's insane.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I wouldn't call it cool.
It's cool.
Okay.
You're jealous.
So jelly.
Yeah. So moving on to relics, the armor of Russ is absolutely great, although I don't know why Russ would have given up his armor before he went into the Eye of Terror. But
or how even Space Marines can fit into it.
Maybe he's running around naked fighting Chaos Demons.
Just dicks out for the wolf time.
So we've seen a similar mechanic to this in the Dark Eldar Codex. So basically, at the start of the fight phase, I don't know whose fight phase, you choose an enemy unit within 1 inch of this model, and that unit cannot be chosen to fight until all other units able to fight have done so.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty really cool.
So that really emphasizes kind of like the pack tactics that Space Wolves are supposed to amplify. That's not a word.
Exemplify?
Exemplify?
There we go.
Thanks, buddy. So if
got
you
you.
get like 3 or 4 units in combat with one enemy unit, and you use this ability on them, and your 3 units can just punch that one unit to death.
Honestly, I think that's the one that you take. Because I'm looking at the rest of these, and they're all cool, but that's the one.
Having the Kraken Bone Sword, that existed in 7th, and it's still really good, because plus 1 strength, AP -4,
and no minus to hit,
and no minus to hit, and reroll all failed wound rolls.
Yeah, I mean, the Black Death is also good. It replaces the axe, and it's plus 2 strength, minus 2 AP, 1 damage, but you add an extra D3 to your attack rolls.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, but I think it's the Armor of Rust, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's the one that I'm going with every time. And I know that you always like to go through the mental wiggly finger powers. Do you want to talk about one of those?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the best ones is Living Lightning. So it's 1 warp charge more than Smite, warp charge 6. Closest visible enemy unit takes D3 mortal wounds. If that unit dies, the closest enemy unit with 18 inches of the last model from that unit dies, also suffers D3 mortal wounds, and so on, and so on, and so on, until there are no enemy units or it doesn't kill a unit.
That's a really good end of game sort of thing,
Yeah.
but I don't see you getting it off very often.
No, but I mean, coupled with Smite, if you can do D3 mortal wounds and then another D3 mortal wounds to a unit, you're looking anywhere from 2 to 6, so you could take out a small squad of scouts and then put another couple mortal wounds on something else. So that's definitely good. Stormcaller, everyone within 6 inches of the Psyker get the benefit of cover.
That's
not bad.
handy. I like Murderous Hurricane. It's a warp charge of 5, which I kind of like, and a visible enemy unit within 18 inches rolls a dice for each model in the unit. On a 6, it takes a mortal wound.
Yeah, that's super Sigmar-y. That's a very Sigmar mechanic.
Well, I like a Horde Buster power. So that's basically it.
Jaws of the World Wolf.
Jaws of the World Wolf has always been this weird bugbear.
Yeah.
It's been the most terrifying power in 7th edition.
I think it used to be an initiative test, or you just remove from play.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's you roll 2d6 and subtract the target's move characteristic, and you suffer the number of mortal wounds equal to the result.
Yeah.
That's
good.
nuts.
It's good. But, it's okay. It's not insane.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is the Space Wolf Codex in a nutshell.
Yep, I like it. I just wish that they weren't all painted powder blue.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Nick G stuff. It's absolutely fantastic.
I love looking at Nick G stuff.
I know. It's really good.
All right, let me take a pee. I'm going to then come back for fun time.
All right. And we're back.
What are we back for?
Fun time. We got a very special guest who refuses to say anything. So we'll see if we can make them crack up with some of these ridiculous Toronto the Good city bylaws.
All right.
So Toronto does have a reputation for being a little nosy into people's personal lives and their conduct in public.
The term that I often use for Toronto is dick in the mud.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I got a couple together that I want to read to you guys, and I want your comments on. So some of these obviously will have historical implications because they will never ever happen today.
Give me the first one.
The first one, and you have to pay attention to the wording in this one.
Okay.
It is illegal to pretend to practice witchcraft.
You know what? I'm fine with that.
You can either not practice witchcraft, or you can practice it, but you can't pretend to practice
Well, do you think that, like, Ghostbusters had to, like, break up so many fake, like, demon summonings that they were like, no, you can only do it or not?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I need to see demons or nothing.
Yeah. I need to see a lady grinding a baby into a flying ointment, or nothing at all.
So in Toronto, it is illegal to indulge in illegal behavior.
See, I've gotten into this argument lately. Because I feel like other laws take stuff like this into account.
Yeah.
You know, like how it's illegal to murder people.
Yeah.
Like, you would also be charged under this law.
Yes, you would be.
But it's not illegal to throw someone into the sun, because that's covered under murder.
Yes.
So you don't have to be super specific.
Also, I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah.
So it is illegal to create, possess, or sell any comic books that glorify crime.
Oh, bad news. I'm going to jail. You ever read, I think it's 99 Bullets?
No.
Ah, that's a good one.
It's illegal in Toronto.
Ah, shoot.
It is illegal to play a musical instrument in a public park.
That one should just be a fucking thing. I'm leaving that F word in there.
I have a picture of you playing guitar in a public park. So.
It was under coercion. I was coerced.
Trinity Bellwoods is going to be empty.
Yeah. It's just going to be a graveyard.
So, there are limits by law to the amount you can pay for things with change. For example, you cannot pay more than $5 in nickels,
I'm fine with that.
and you cannot pay more than $25 with loonies.
Also cool with that.
I've always wanted to be one of those people that just goes in and pays my taxes in useless pennies.
Here's the thing that I hate about that. You're telling someone, I hate my time as much as I hate
I
yours.
love counting money.
That is insane.
Yeah, it's something that I love to do. It was my favorite job at Starbucks.
Before I moved to Toronto, I worked at a temp agency, and one of the jobs they tried to send me to, they were like, you can be a cash counter. It's for a bank. I was like, never. I'll kill myself.
That would be my dream job.
Well, it's a thing. And I think it pays $13 an hour.
Amazing.
So until recently, I wanted to include a recent bylaw in here, because this goes into why Toronto Council is corrupt and doesn't get anything wrong, and it's one person, and his initials are GM. But until recently, there was a ban on EDM events at the exhibition grounds because this person had a vested interest in a nearby nightclub, and he didn't want exhibition events taking away from his nightclub profits.
I mean, that's fair.
Huh?
I mean, you should be able to use municipal powers for your own gain. What's the point of getting elected if you can't abuse it?
I know. You cannot release more than 9 helium balloons in a day.
That's a goddamn foresight, is what that is. Because what city released, like, they were like, oh, it's going to be beautiful.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland released thousands of balloons.
People died because they were lost in the lake and they couldn't discern the heads from all the thousands of floating balloons in the lake.
Yeah, it, like, messed up flight patterns. It
Killed animals.
It probably destroyed the weather. I mean, Cleveland's a garbage city, anyways.
So this is more of a
Their river catches on fire on the regular.
That's true. So there is a zoning bylaw in Parkdale that disallows a place of amusement to operate with 2 or more pinball machines. The exact regulation, zoning bylaw number 438-86, specifies that only 2 pinball machines or other mechanical or electronic game machines is permitted in a, quote, restaurant, unquote, or a, quote, place of amusement, unquote.
Oh.
And the Parkdale BIA recently kicked out a bar from the area, like I'm talking 2-3 years ago, for having 3 pinball machines.
What bar?
I don't know.
I need to know.
Well, you know when 3 pinball machines are there, hijinks ensue.
That's true. Well, because pinball used to be part of like a real moral panic.
No, it really was, because they viewed it as gambling machines.
Yeah, it was gambling, and like the youths would be near it.
Well, because wasn't there that thing about pinballs? There was this huge kerfuffle in the Senate or something where they brought in a pinball machine because it didn't take skill. They said it didn't take skill. It was just a game.
Yeah. It was just a whole thing.
We've all listened to this, so you think you can know about that.
You know what?
Stuff you should know? Stuff you should think you should know.
So you think you should know. I'd love to know how to spell Mississippi on this episode of So You Think You Should Know.
Exactly. My new podcast. Thank you, Paul.
Welcome.
It is illegal to drag a dead horse down Yonge Street on Sunday.
On Sunday?
On Sunday.
But you can let him shit wherever you like, and then Paul has to bike through it.
Well, yeah, that's true. In Etobicoke, which is now part of Toronto, it's illegal to have more than 3.5 inches of water in a bathtub.
That can't be right.
I don't know. In Ontario, and this is still in effect, it is illegal to drive your horse-drawn sleigh on any highway without at least 2 bells attached to the harness of your horse.
Fair. Like, super fair. Like, archaic, but...
Yeah. Do not swear at your mother in public. You could get arrested.
That's not so much a law as it is a good idea.
Oh, it's a lot.
But occasionally, you gotta really crank some filth out of Gertie. Like...
In Toronto, it is illegal to swear in a public park.
Oh, no. We're all...
Again, Trinity Bellwoods is just emptying.
And finally, well, not finally, I have one more after this. If you don't pay your hotel bill in Ontario, the hotel can legally sell your horse.
I love that. Like, I'm just picturing, like, 2 drunk prospectors, like, complaining to a police officer, and he's just like, there's nothing I can do. You guys were the worst.
It's also, finally, illegal to climb trees in any public park in Toronto.
I'm going to so many jails. Now, what about stringing a sort of like a backpack strap that's maybe 50 feet long between them, and then ratcheting it tight, and then walking on it and making everyone look at me and my beautiful abs while I do this? But the line's not exactly tight, it's a little bit slack. Is that illegal?
Are you climbing trees?
I mean, I'm climbing the thing I put on the trees.
I would say it's totally legal, although
But
morally wrong.
You know what? I don't think we're going to get better than that. All right, good night, everybody.